All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we have some breaking news. This just happened a little bit ago. I'm just finding this out now. So a grand jury has indicted 11 Republicans who submitted a document to Congress declaring that Donald Trump beat Joe Biden in Arizona in the 2020 presidential election. This is happening now. I am just finding out about this, but we're going to go through one of the documents that kind of shows what they are charging and who are these individuals who they are indicting. But this is the document that lays out this alleged conspiracy and scheme. But it says, in Arizona in the United States, the people elected Joseph Biden as president on November 3rd, 2020. Unwilling to accept this fact, defendants and unindicted co-conspirators schemed to prevent the lawful transfer of the presidency to keep unindicted co-conspirator 1, so this must be referring to Donald Trump, so he is an unindicted co-conspirator in this, in office against the will of Arizona's voters. This scheme would have deprived Arizona voters of their right to vote and have their votes counted. After the general election on November 3rd of 2020, defendants raised false claims of widespread election fraud in Arizona to pressure election officials to change the outcome of a Democratic election. Those efforts failed when the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, Secretary of State, and Governor certified Arizona's election. Republican presidential elector defendants then voted for President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence on December 14th, 2020, falsely claiming to be the, quote, duly elected and qualified electors for President and Vice President of the United States from the state of Arizona. Defendants deceived the citizens of Arizona by falsely claiming that those votes were contingent only on a legal challenge that would change the outcome of the election. In reality, defendants intended blah, 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 blah. But these are the indicted conspirators. These are the 11 people indicted. This is from left to right. Nancy Cottle, who chaired the Arizona Trump electors. Lorraine Pellegrino, the secretary of the Arizona Trump electors. Tyler Bowyer, an executive with Turning Point USA and a committeeman for the Republican National Committee. State Senator Jake Hoffman, he's a Republican from Queen Creek. State Senator Anthony Kern from Glendale, Republican. Jim Lamont, former U.S. Senate candidate. Robert Montgomery, former chair of the Cochise County Republican Committee. Samuel Moorhead, a former leader of the Gila County Republican Party. Greg Safston, former executive director of the Arizona Republican Party. Kelly Ward, who is a former chair of the Arizona Republican Party. And then her husband, Michael Ward, and a GOP activist. So these indictments were just dropped, and Attorney General Kris Mayes announced these indictments, and this is what she had to say.
Hi, I'm Arizona Attorney General Kris Mayes. Let me start by thanking everyone for your patience as we conducted a thorough and professional investigation over the past 13 months into the fake elector scheme in our state. I understand for some of you today didn't come fast enough, and I know I'll be criticized by others for conducting this investigation at all. But as I have stated before and will say here again today, I will not allow American democracy to be undermined. It's too important. The investigators and attorneys assigned to this case took the necessary time to thoroughly piece together the details of the events that began nearly 4 years ago. They followed the facts where they led, and I'm very proud of the work they've done to date. We're here because justice demands an answer to the efforts that the defendants and other unindicted co-conspirators allegedly took to undermine the will of Arizona's voters during the 2020 presidential election. Arizona's election was free and fair. The people of Arizona elected President Biden.
Oh, yeah, it was the most free and fair election of all time.
The defendants charged by the state grand jury allegedly schemed to prevent the lawful transfer of the presidency. Whatever their reasoning was, the plot to violate the law must be answered for, and I was elected to uphold the law of this state. The scheme, had it succeeded, would have deprived Arizona's voters of their right to have their votes counted for their chosen president. It effectively would have made their right to vote meaningless.
So there you have it, guys. Out of the horse's mouth. You know, it was the most free and fair election of all time, and they got to go after these 11 co-conspirators, drop indictments on them. Right when Donald Trump is going up in the polls. Very interesting, right? But this, of course, was coordinated by a very detailed media drop, and this is the most detailed one I found, of course, coming from Arizona Central, AZ Central. And they say, grand jury indicts fake electors who falsely certified Donald Trump as 2020 winner in Arizona. Oh, wow. Okay. A grand jury has charged 11 Arizona Republicans and 7 former aides to Donald Trump in a scheme to keep Donald Trump in the White House by falsely certifying he won the state in 2020. Though voters in the Grand Canyon state narrowly favored Joe Biden. Yes, the most free and fair election of all time. Yeah, we all know that. Kris Hayes, the Attorney General, a Democrat, announced the indictment had been issued on Wednesday. That was today. Minutes ago. It alleged that the slate of Republicans, sometimes known as fake electors, engaged in a conspiracy aimed at preventing the lawful transfer of the presidency of the United States, keeping Donald J. Trump in office against the will of Arizona voters and depriving Arizona voters of their right to vote and have their vote counted. Wow. The names of 7 other individuals are redacted from the grand jury indictment, meaning that they have not yet been served notice of the charges against them. So in the future, we could have 7 other indictments dropping against these individuals. The other names are redacted, as are the charges against them. Details in the indictment make it clear that many top allies of Trump's, who led a pressure campaign to change the election results, are also facing charges in Arizona. Those individuals appeared to include Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani, former chief of staff Mark Meadows, and others. Trump himself is, according to the document, an unindicted co-conspirator. The Arizonians are now facing charges including powerful and influential GOP figures, a former Republican Party of Arizona chairman, a Republican National Committeeman, and executive at Turning Point USA and its political arm, and 2 sitting state senators, one of whom retains immense political power at the Arizona Capitol. Oh no, we are infiltrated by fake electors. The grand jury's decision could levy criminal consequences for an unprecedented plot to subvert the will of Arizona voters in the most free and fair election of all time. Remember that. One that has ruptured faith in elections. Oh, yeah, it's their fault. It's their fault that these elections people have no faith in these elections anymore. It's their fault. Remember that. It's key. And fueled election conspiracies that have taken root in GOP politics in the state. It comes as Mays has promised to aggressively combat election conspiracies, offering a sharp contrast to her predecessor. So she's taking a stand, remember. The grand jury, a panel of Arizonians who met in secret in recent weeks, heard evidence presented by Mays prosecutors and ultimately decided that there was enough to substantiate criminal charges. Wow. They had enough. Wow. The 11 electors are each charged with 9 criminal counts, including conspiracy, fraudulent schemes and artifices, fraudulent schemes and practices, and 6 counts of forgery. Their lawyers or the named defendants themselves could not be immediately reached for comment. And then it goes through the 11 indicted electors. Then it has the document here, which is 58 pages long. And then, yeah, it's a very long article with lots of documents. So, I mean, this is definitely coordinated here. This just dropped. It was just announced. And look at the news already has all of this stuff, of course. Other news agencies are running with this and just blasting it all over the place. Donald Trump got dropped these indictments right before the election, right as Donald Trump is, running in this trial in New York. We got to get all the negative press out on him ASAP because his poll numbers are up and we cannot have that whatsoever. But this is what's going on right now, guys. This just happened. What do you think about this? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until then, I will see you on the next one.